Dave, in your opinion, if Gavin was able to show up to camp when everybody else did, would he break camp with the club, or does there more go into the optioning?
Yeah, I just think that it's more of there's a lot that goes into his swing, and he just at this point in time, Ronnie, he just wasn't synced up, and so nothing against him. It's just right now where we're at. We hope for Gavin to log some at bats at the offside at SC and be ready when called upon. But he started playoff games last year. That just shows the confidence we have in him as a ball player, as a young man. And so I just want him to get right and expect him to be with us.
Is it continuing to be a rotation between Kike, Chris, and Muncy, or does that open up the door for a more permanent person?
Yeah, I think that's the way I see it. I just think that Kike and CT just have so much value, and they both deserve starts. And there'll also be time that one of those guys could see some time in left field, maybe a little in center field. We'll see. And also Muncy, to get his bat in the lineup to play second base, which we feel confident in, and Cody slides over to first base at times. So that's kind of how I see it right now.
Okay, what is Jake McGee?
Accessibility options.
Oh, geez, Louise's computer. What does Jake McGee bring to your bullpen?
Jake, he brings success, experience. I know he's excited to be with the Dodgers. He knows some of the guys already. He knows the division really well. And I just think that his pitch mix fits in with our club. So I think that there's some things that we've identified with Jake, a lot of upside. But again, this guy's done it year in, year out.
How quickly did he mention he was thankful to be out of Coors Field?
What's funny? I think that was the elephant in the room in our conversation, so I don't think we needed to bring that one up.
Okay, thank you for your time, Dave.
Next question from Dave Bassay. Go ahead, Dave.
Dave, going back to Gavin, last night we saw the errant throw. Do you just feel like going back to spring training, Gavin hasn't been the player that he was when you saw him at the end of last year? Or do you feel like the offense was starting to creep into his defense, and that's the result that we saw last night?
No, I don't think that last night is indicative of anything. I had a conversation with Gavin yesterday, late afternoon, and so it probably bled into the play. So Gavin is very strong in mind, and he understands defense versus offense, so that has nothing to do with that. It was just one of those nights. It's probably my fault as far as I talked to him. I wanted to be forthright, and so it probably led into his psyche a little bit.
Oh, so you had that talk before last night's game?
Correct.
As far as McGee goes, where are you with your left-handed relief situation, bringing him in? Did you just want to have more options, or what does that say about where you're at with the left side of your bullpen?
Just depth. Jake is a guy that's gotten left and right out for many years, and so I think in this situation where there's a lot of unknowns, depth is high priority.
And just a quick obligatory question: is everything okay with Mookie? He's not in the starting lineup.
Yeah, no, Mookie's fine. We've been running him out there a lot, so he feels good where he's at, and he'll be ready to go on Thursday.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jorge.
Hey, Dave, you mentioned you're hoping to see Gavin Lux some at-bats at USC. So what's going to happen at USC once these games start? What's that going to look like?
I think it's obviously we don't have enough players to put together an inter-squad game. But we have arms, we have catchers, we have coaches, we have position players. So I think we see it as a lot of simulated games. And I think the great thing about that is you can put pitchers in situations to simulate, obviously, Major League Baseball games. And you can do the back-to-back days. You can get a guy some rest and get him back in there after sitting down. you can get Gavin to take 8 to 10 at bats, and I think that's something you can't do when you're on a roster and not playing every day.
It might be hard to estimate now, but how many people do you imagine being there on a day-to-day basis during the season?
You know what, Jorge, I don't know that number. I can get it, but certainly upwards of 15 guys, certainly 15, 20 guys.
And just one more. Has your confidence changed at all? Has your confidence increased, decreased, not changed at all in Major League Baseball being able to pull off the season since you guys first reported to camp?
No, I think that it's actually been enhanced. Just seeing how diligent they are with the testing, how, it's kind of the day-to-day, because you really don't know until you know. And so for us to kind of come to the ballpark and see how it's worked out, I'm encouraged, and understanding that testing has leveled out as far as positive tests and has been curtailed, actually. And, the unknown right now is the travel. So, but I'm still hopeful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question is from Ron Kavner. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, Dave. Kind of along those lines, obviously, from a health and safety perspective, it's gone pretty well so far at home at summer camp. You had mentioned travel and on the road. Do you think you have to talk to your guys about anything ahead of the road trip, or is it one of those things where at this point they just sort of understand what's on the line?
I think we'll have a conversation, but there's been a lot of internal conversations amongst players and coaches already happening, which is good and helpful. But also a lot of it, Rowan, is common sense. And the more you expose yourself to people, the more likelihood. So I know our guys are very well aware of that.
Next question is from Jim Alexander. Go ahead, Jim.
Had to work to unmute there for just a second. Discounting the last 2 nights because exhibition games and whatnot, what do you like the most about this lineup from an offensive standpoint with all the various ways you can go?
I think I like most is their ability to handle left and right. And there's a lot of versatility defensively, and guys value every pitch, and they can slug you, and we really appreciate a free pass to first base if that's the case. And I like the team aspect, team offensive approach.
If you had to pitch against these guys, and I know you weren't a pitcher as a player, but anyone that has to pitch against these guys, they're going to grind, and they're going to be tough 1 to 9. I mean, how would you approach it? Is there a way to approach it?
Yeah, I think that many people are going to try, and there's different ways, but you walk our guys, it leads to big innings. So I guess try to minimize the walks.
Okay, thank you.
A question from JP Hornstra. Go ahead, JP.
Dave, if you could just size up some of the cases that a few of the guys maybe on the bubble have made, starting with Zach McKinstry, like how close is he to being a major league ball player from what you've seen so far?
I think Zach has the skill set, the mindset to be a big league ball player right now. So for the Dodgers, he's, I guess they say he's an injury away. He's right there, JP.
AJ Ramos, what have you seen from him in camp?
AJ has been impressive, albeit a small stint. It's been quite some time since he's pitched. So for him to just kind of go through the exercises of back-to-back days, potentially be ready for 4 outs, 5 outs, things that he hasn't done in quite some time. Because when you're going through rehab, it kind of, you warm up, you pitch, and then you cool down. Where in baseball, there could be warming up, sit, not getting there. Later on, you got to warm up and get there and pitch. So there's things you really can't simulate. So at the off site, we can do that for him, but he's been very impressive.
And last guy, Eduardo Ramos, had some major league experience. I don't know how much you saw of him before, but how has he looked in camp?
Eddie looks great. There was 94s, 95s. There's a lot to like. And guys, a couple years ago, I think it was 2-3 years ago, I mean, he was really, really good for the Phillies. So I like him a lot, like the way he competes, and he's just another depth piece for us.
Thank you.
Good question from Claudia Gestro. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. So now that the opening day is closed, if there's anything that has surprised you about preparing your team in this very strange season?
I think the thing that's probably been the most pleasantly surprising is the way the guys have taken to the new protocols. That there are no fans, the testing every other day, wearing masks. I think that's been probably the thing that I'm probably most excited about.
Thank you.
Another question from Dave Say. Go ahead, Dave.
Dave, the last spring training game, a lot of times the regulars don't stay in that long. Are you treating it that way tonight or differently?
Yeah, I think that we've been really good about managing their workload. Yeah, I can see for these guys coming in, starting 2 to 3 at bats probably makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One question from Eric Steven. Go ahead, Eric.
Dave, McGee was in Colorado's camp until late last week. Is he going to pitch tonight, or is he kind of just ready to go once the season starts?
No, we're planning on getting him in there tonight.
Great. And then as far as like the other like opening day type decisions, have you pretty much like told everybody, or at least made those decisions? Or do you still have sort of some decisions to make?
I think we have about 2 decisions to make. I think, 2 decisions to make, which we haven't. We're going to talk through today. We're really close there.
Thank you.
Another question from Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Just to simulate the scrum we're all used to, what decisions are those, Dave?
Nice question, Jorge. Nice follow-up. Yeah, we've talked to most of the guys. We got the extra position player that we're still talking through. And there's a bullpen spot where we're talking through.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Final question from Clint Casillas. Go ahead, Clint.
Hey, Dave. I guess maybe this one might be a little out of left field, or I guess, in this case, right field tonight. But Jock's been taking some good hacks against lefties. Is that maybe changing a little bit of your mindset in the platoon and sort of what you're looking at roster-wise or lineup-wise day to day?
No, I think that, it's great for Jock to have those good at-bats against lefties and see him. And, there's not going to be a season where he doesn't see lefties. There's times where he will. But I think that you're also looking at I have to also look at the other alternative or option. And so to think that A.J. Pollock, Kike, and Chris Taylor have been substantially, better throughout their careers, they warrant and deserve opportunities to play as well. So I think that, I love all of our players, but I also believe in putting players in the best position to have success. And not to say that Jock can't hit a lefty, but I think that we have some other good options as well.
Thanks, Dave.